Our first impact legend today is Siddharth Chatterjee, the United Nations Resident Coordinator in China since January 2021. Siddharth, or Sid, brings over 25 years of experience in international cooperation, humanitarian action, sustainable development, and peace and security across multiple regions. We'll begin by showing you a short video offering a glimpse of his journey, and following that, Siddharth will share his own reflections and then offer a question of reflection for all of us to engage us all, a moment to listen, to connect, and expand our thinking together. Here's the video.
Every journey begins somewhere. For Siddharth Chatterjee, it started in Calcutta, the gateway to the East. Beside the world's oldest continuous civilization, China, which today has become his place of work. Shaped by hardship, discipline, and a call to serve, Siddharth's path led him through the Army Special Forces, onward to his role as the United Nations Resident Coordinator in China. But through every chapter of his journey, one cause kept returning to him.
There was something that we needed to change in this narrative of violence. There was something in which our humanity needed to come forth. And I suppose that became the thing that propelled me into the direction I took. But that one central message was, we have to do everything to preserve our humanity. We have to do everything possible to preserve empathy. We have to do everything possible to advance compassion.
In seeking answers to questions informing his path, Siddharth made major contributions to peace and development. He helped free more than 3,000 child soldiers in South Sudan, bringing them to safety. He also advanced global health under SDG 3 by coordinating with UN agencies and drawing on Chinese and Indian practices, a path that also shaped his own life, leading him to prioritize wellness as an essential companion to service. These contributions shaped his belief that progress is meaningful only when it protects dignity and improves lives of the most marginalized. That belief later found resonance in his partnerships with the Rockefeller Foundation, a connection he recalls through his experiences in Kenya.
I need to tell you a story about Kenya. When I was posted there in 2014, as the head of the United Nations Population Fund, was considered amongst the 10 most dangerous places for a woman to get birth. I took my team into a retreat at the University of Nairobi, and we were able to do an analysis, a deep dive into the data. This took us on a journey, and this journey was where I met the Rockefeller Foundation. So to me, the Asia Exchange therefore becomes very consequential, something I genuinely believe in, seeing the power of the foundation to be able to transform lives and livelihoods and have an enduring impact.
Today, Siddharth continues to drive collective progress toward a sustainable future while advancing humanity.
We need much more unity of purpose, we need much more collaboration, and we need much more multilateralism. The world on fire cannot afford to be divided.
Ladies and gentlemen, here with us today, our impact legend, Siddharth Chatterjee. Sid, if you could stand up. How are you today? So, let's have a mic for Sid. Can we have a mic? Let's face here so those online can see us as well. Another round of applause to Sid, please, ladies and gentlemen. Remarkable work, Sid, I'll have to say, in your span of career. So you've been to conflict-ridden areas, very fragile, very unstable states. Now, throughout your work, one thing, especially from that video that caught my attention, I'm sure a lot of us here, is your work that you've done in South Sudan, where you demobilized 3,551 child soldiers during conflict. I can only imagine something like this would be life-changing. Definitely for the 3,551 children. Maybe you too. How has that impacted you?
Well, thank you. So as you saw that I had started my early career in the Army Special Forces, and I spent 5.5 years in real combat. And one of the most compelling events that happened in my life was when I was 22 years old and I went to fight the Tamil Tigers in Sri Lanka. for 2.5 years. And that was a moment where children were employed as child soldiers. And that was the first time that as an adult we came in contact with children, some as young as 10, 11, 12, using weapons. So in a sense, that, these are things that have an impact on you. And, you carry this back in your memory. So, when you understand consequences of PTSDs, etc., they torment you in your dreams and sometimes in your real life too. So perhaps South Sudan fulfilled a spiritual vacuum in my life. That particular event was very consequential to me, both personally and professionally. Because professionally, it set me on a trajectory in UNICEF and subsequently into the UN, which has now got me into the role of the UN resident coordinator here in China, given the fact that I actually started my UN career as a security guard at a gate in Sarajevo in Bosnia back in 1997. Yeah.
Wow. So it has been a very impactful journey. That incident, that event alone has been very impactful. But what has changed in your thinking? Let's say, what can you bring here to the room that you would say something that we need to keep in our minds as we come in? Liz said that let's have a change of thought when we come in and when we leave on Wednesday, when we leave here. So what question would you say we have to keep in mind as we continue with the days ahead?
Actually, Liz made a very consequential call to action. I can say that this is the first time post the Second World War that we are witnessing an interlocking crisis, a crisis so grave. It's a combination of a health pandemic which exposed the fragility of human health and health systems. It had an economic impact that rivals the Great Depression. We are seeing a climate crisis which is proving to be an existentialist threat. We are having a crisis of conflicts. We see Gaza and Ukraine, but we've got 80 ongoing conflicts happening all over the world. We have rising levels of food insecurity with nearly 800 million people going to bed hungry every night. And above all, we have rising inequalities. And it's the first time post the Second World War that we've reached a grim milestone of approximately 130 million people displaced because of conflict, because of instability, because of climate change. So the one thing which I would just, build on what Liz said is today governments can't just do it alone. That's very clear. Governments do not have that capacity. In fact, we are actually at the cusp, ladies and gentlemen, and I don't say this lightly as a UN staff member, of a third world war. What we are capable of doing as individuals is going to be very consequential. How do we as organizations, individuals, as families, communities, be able to also use our institutional capacities to be able to transform things? Because humanity is at its brink and we just have to find a way to resurrect it, revive it, and most importantly, bring the entire multilateral system back into force, which is what the UN Secretary General is aspiring to do, is to make the multilateral system fit for purpose.
Thank you for keeping that thought. So I guess that is something that we do need to keep in mind. It's a very urgent, very timely warning. Thank you so much, Sid. Let's give a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.